It's time for another round of
PatGPT.
PatGPT is brought to you by FOMO Sapiens, the podcast for entrepreneurial thinkers. It's the show where I, Patrick J. McGinnis, share some of my own entrepreneurial thinking in the form of inspiration, practical ideas, and knowledge that you can use at work and in your daily life. Today's topic is what I learned from my failed attempt at Patreon. Ouch. All right, PatGPT, start generating. Oh man, this is not a fun one. It just isn't, because it's so embarrassing. That's why I'm doing it, because I feel ashamed of how crappy my Patreon experience was, which is my own fault, by the way. I'm not blaming Patreon for this. But we had a really crappy Patreon launch. It was 2021. It was a weird time in the world. I'm blaming this on COVID, people. And I was trying to figure out, things to add into the mix of the FOMO Sapiens family. And my team felt very strongly that we should do a Patreon. Now, if you don't know Patreon is this thing where creators, you kind of subscribe to this website and they give you things, free things. Well, you pay something. There's different levels and tiers, but then they give you bonuses. Like if you pay a certain amount of money a month, you get a special podcast episode, or you get to message the creator, or you get a session, like a Zoom call, whatever, stuff like that. You get merch. And my team really felt the Patreon was a great idea. And, I was like, I have no idea. I've seen it work, but I don't know. Convince me. And they put together some proposals, and I said, you know what? Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Let us do the Patreon. Well, let me tell you a little something. It was a disaster. I mean, we went out and promoted it on FOMO Sapiens and our newsletter and stuff. I'm going to tell you, this is so embarrassing. I think I got 2 subscribers. My mom and my friend Rosa Hong. Thank you, Rosa. You're the best. That was it. Nobody else. And I have to say, I felt really crappy about that. I was like, wow. What is going on here? Like, people do not like me. People do not like this Patreon. What a bad idea. I have failed. I mean, I felt a lot of feelings. I just felt like I just wanted to just put it away and never think of it again, which is exactly what we did. I was like, let's kill this now. This sucks. Thank you, Rosa and Mom, but we're not doing this. And so we shut it down very quickly thereafter, and we've never spoken of it again. It's like Voldemort. So I want to talk about what I learned from that experience and why I went wrong right after the break.
FOMO.
All right. I'm talking about my crappy Patreon, which, by the way, I just want to say I haven't even heard the word Patreon since then. Maybe I'm blocking out because I have trauma. But yeah, it sucked. Now, here are the 4 things that I learned. Here are the 4 things I learned from this crappy experience. Number 1 is, FOMO. This was a pandemic trend. This was like a moment in time. Everybody was doing these things. And I was like, well, if everybody's having success, maybe I should try it too. But I didn't really know why I was doing it. And I think that the FOMO, watching other people and saying, well, if they're doing it, I can do it too, and I can be successful. Like, I should know better. Patrick, you should know better. But that was a huge issue because it wasn't well thought out, obviously. And it was driven by a desire to do what other people were doing successfully and thinking I could do the same without really knowing why I was doing it. Okay. That leads me to number 2. Related, but a little different, which is, listen, this was not my idea, and that's okay. Lots of good ideas. I get great ideas from people all the time. But I didn't really believe in it. Like, I had always thought Patreon was cheesy. And so, I felt weird actually asking people to sign up because I was like, why would anybody want this thing? Which, I'm glad that I recognized that. It's a pretty honest feeling. It's not like I'm some lunatic who thinks I'm perfect and everybody should just want my things. But I do think that just not really believing in it and feeling a little bit like it was cheesy, that was a problem too. Because number 3, you have to commit. When you do a new business, and this is essentially a new business, you must really commit. And even if you don't, I mean, let me tell you something. Nobody really knows in the beginning. You start a new company, like you're racked with doubt. You know, it's fake it till you make it all the time. But you have to generally feel like you're offering something somebody would be willing to pay for and that you're willing to deliver. Right? And I just thought to myself, like, the things that we're offering, like, nobody should pay for these things. Like, again, like, I don't think creators should give away everything for free either. That's also messed up. But it was like, I don't remember all the perks, but it was just stuff that I asked my team. I'm like, nobody wants this. Like, people do not care about this thing that we're going to give them. They're not willing to pay for that. Maybe they'll sign up because they just want to be nice. That didn't work either, by the way, except for Rosa and my mom. But I think you have to really be committed to it and believe in it and go all in on it. And had I really believed in this, I would have stuck with it. But the minute we had a spectacular failure, I was like, pull the ripcord. Let's get the hell out of this one. That is not commitment. Finally, ego. What I learned, this was the part that's so interesting. And I don't think like we all have ego, right? So I'm not going to say I don't have ego, but like I definitely felt really bad. It was a definite hit. Like, wow, people don't care. And I don't think that's true, by the way, because you guys write me, you reach out, you listen to the show, all that sort of, it's not like that. But I was kind of like, I just kind of figured like, we'll make it work. You know, people listen to the show, they'll be interested. Like, even if it isn't that great, like we'll get some people and then we'll figure it out and we'll make it good and we'll talk to them and we'll bring a product to market that people really value. Well, no. And so the ego hit on that one. Again, I just was like, let's kill it right now and just never think of it again. I haven't thought about it until today. Like I was thinking about what to talk about today. And then I was like, oh baby, that sucked. And I feel like talking about it today is a little bit of my therapy. So yeah, not a great experience, but that's what happens actually. That's the thing about all this stuff. Anytime you put out something new, like it's going to succeed or fail, but like you're not going to know in the beginning. So if you believe in it, you stick with it. If you don't, you just move on. All right. Those are my things. FOMO. You got to believe in it. You have to commit, and you just got to recognize ego is in the mix. See how that plays out. All right, everybody. I'll be back on Thursday with another episode of FOMO Sapiens. If you have thoughts, or you just want to tell me something nice to make me feel better, find me on email at letsconnect@patrickmcginnis.com, on Twitter at PJMcGinnis, and on Instagram at PatrickJMcGinnis. See you on Thursday, FOMO Sapiens. And PatGPT, stop generating.
FOMO.
FOMO Sapiens is recorded in New York City. Theme music is by Mike McGinnis, and editing and post-production is by Josh Elstro. If you like today's show, please be sure to rate it and recommend it to your friends. And as always, you can find me at FOMOSapiens.com and at PatrickMcGinnis.com. To advertise on FOMO Sapiens, reach out to contact@FOMOSapiens.com.